And that's a ghost story in a nutshell. Hey, what's up, you guys? Film Fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Ghost Story. So, Ghost Story stars Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara. Now, before I get into the plot synopsis with the film, I just want to kind of warn you that there is a spoiler in the plot synopsis for this film. So if you don't want to know what that spoiler is, then I suggest you don't watch the plot synopsis, because there's no way I can kind of edit myself around this. I kind of have to explain it. So if you don't want to know what the spoiler is, then I suggest you don't watch this part of the video. So here we go. You've been warned. So what A Ghost Story is basically about, it's about Casey Affleck, and what happens is he gets into a car accident and he dies. And now he's a ghost. And what he does as a ghost is he tries to see what's been going on with Rooney Mara and what kind of happens to the house after he dies. So what did I think of A Ghost Story? Now, going into A Ghost Story, I didn't have much expectations for it. When I saw the trailer for it, I thought it kind of looked just okay. The movie, it looked fine. And I'm not the hugest fan of A24, the movie studio that's behind this film. They made some films that I've enjoyed, but, there's some other films that I really don't enjoy from them. So, I didn't really have much expectations. But I was hoping maybe I could be surprised by this movie, and it could be really good. Unfortunately, it didn't. It kind of somewhat met my expectations, because this movie's not good. It's kind of bad. I didn't enjoy A Ghost Story all that much. It's a pretty bad movie. But I do have positives with this film, and my positives are, first being, there were some moments in this film that I did find intriguing. Really, it's just some moments that I did find intriguing. And I was like, okay, so I'm a bit interested to see where this could go and whatever. So, and yeah, there's only some moments like that, but there were some moments in the film that I was like, okay, this is kind of intriguing. I'm kind of intrigued to see where this could go. Now, the next positive I do have is, the aspect ratio, which I know some people have really complained about, but for me, I thought it was kind of neat, honestly. I kind of liked what they were going for with the aspect ratio with this, because, with the type of feel with this movie that they wanted to go with, I felt like it fit, and it kind of felt like a home movie. So, yeah, for the most part, I really did like the aspect ratio. I thought it was pretty good. I did like it. I thought, it was like, okay, so for the type of feel that they wanted to go with this film, I thought, it was pretty neat. And I did, was like, okay, this is pretty cool for the most part. So, yeah, I did think the aspect ratio was pretty solid for the most part. And lastly, I did think the directing was pretty solid. I did think the directing with the film was pretty solid. It had, some, it was very well shot. Editing was pretty solid too, and the cinematography was really good too. So, yeah, the directing wasn't all that bad with the movie. I thought the directing was pretty solid. Now for the negatives. I do have, unfortunately, a lot of negatives with this film, and the negatives are, first being the acting. The acting in the film wasn't all that great. It wasn't necessarily bad per se, it just wasn't that good, the acting, honestly. It really wasn't. Let's start off with the first with the main two leads. Casey Affleck, all he really does in the film is all he does is walk around, honestly, and just stare at things. That's all he really does in the movie, and he really doesn't even do that much. He doesn't even give that good of an emotional performance, really. It's just kind of bland and boring, and I really didn't care, honestly. It just wasn't that good. Same goes with Rooney Mara. Nothing really made me feel bad for her character, because, she just lost her husband and stuff. Nothing really made me feel bad for her character, made me feel emotional with her character, because she was just bland and really wasn't all that great. She literally doesn't say all that much. Same goes with Casey Affleck. She doesn't really say all that much, and she really just isn't that good. She just kind of gives a lifeless performance. And there's a couple of other side characters that do a really bad job, especially this one dude who tries to explain like the meaning of life and stuff, and it's like the worst scene in the movie. So yeah, the acting really isn't all that great with the ghost story. The movie, really nothing happens in this film. For the most part, honestly, really nothing happens. Like I said in my positives, there are some intriguing moments in the film, and there were some moments that I did find intriguing with the film, but for the most part, honestly, it really just is uninteresting and nothing really happens. And I just didn't find myself invested in it because really nothing happens, and I'm just like, would something happen already? And there are moments, like I said, that things do happen, but for the most part, really, nothing really happens in the film. The story really isn't that interesting with the movie. I really didn't think the story wasn't that interesting with the film. Like, it could care less for the characters, and it just wasn't that intriguing. And, you know, you could make a story like this work, but I felt like the way that they executed it in this didn't really work all that well. I thought the story was pretty uninteresting. Like I said, I did like the aspect ratio for the most part because, like I said, I thought it was kind of neat. But there are some moments where I did feel like it was kind of really not that great, especially in some areas towards, like, the third act of the film, I'll say, where I really thought the aspect ratio wasn't really that great, and I was just like, yeah, okay, it's not really great in this area. So yeah, there are some moments where the aspect ratio really doesn't work all that well. You know, the movie, there are some moments in this film where they use shots and they focus on those shots for way too long at some points during the film. Like, there's this one shot of Casey Affleck in the hospital, and they literally focus on, like, his hospital, like, him on the hospital stretcher or something, and they literally focus on that one shot. Literally, like, because I watched this movie with my good buddy Caden, who I've mentioned a few times. He, you know, when we were watching it, we were like, is the movie frozen? And we literally checked, and it wasn't. It was literally just focused on that one shot. For, I don't know how many minutes it was for, but man, they just focused on that one shot. I was just like, why are they focusing on this for so long until, you know, he kind of rises up and he, you know, becomes a ghost and stuff. I was like, oh boy. But, like, they just focus on, like, that one shot for so long, and it's just like, okay. Same goes with, I know everybody's mentioned this, but, like, the whole, like, pie scene with Rooney Mara, like, it's literally her eating pie for, like, 5 or 6 minutes, I think. And it's just like, why did we need that? Like, that has to be one of the most unnecessary shots of all time. Like, did we really need a 5 to 6 minute scene of her eating pie? Like, was that necessary? It really wasn't. So, yeah, there are some times in the film where they can just drag out things for way too long. Like I mentioned earlier, the one dude who's, like, explaining, like, what he thinks is, like, the meaning of life or something, that goes on for way too long, and we were like, shut up! Like, literally, we were, like, telling the guy to shut up because it just goes on way too long, and it was really awful, and the acting in that scene is just terrible as well. So, yeah, and the movie really doesn't make all that much sense. Like, the movie goes off the rails in the third act. Like, it just goes off the rails in the third act, and you're just like, okay? Like, and predictable, too. Like, literally, we predicted a lot of things that were going to happen in the third act, so, yeah, that's another bad thing. Yeah, the movie makes no sense, and it really doesn't. The movie does not make any sense. The writing is not that great, honestly. Like, it really isn't with the film. And lastly, the movie is really boring. The movie's like an hour and 30 minutes, and it feels like 2 hours. The movie moves at a snail's pace. And I was just like, move along already. Get to the point, honestly. And they really weren't. And it was just moving really, really slow. And I was just like, just move along already. So, overall, A Ghost Story really isn't that good. It's a pretty bad movie, honestly. I did not enjoy A Ghost Story all that much. It's another overrated movie from 2017. Just wonderful. I did not really enjoy A Ghost Story all that much. So it's time for my official grade on A Ghost Story, and my official grade on A Ghost Story is a D+. it's a pretty bad movie, from the kind of lifeless acting to the nothing happening in the film, to the story being uninteresting, to the nonsense that happens, honestly, in this movie, to it making no sense. It's a really bad movie. I did not enjoy A Ghost Story all that much. It's pretty bad, and yeah, it just really wasn't that good, and I did not enjoy it. So yeah, definitely deserves a D+. But if you have seen A Ghost Story, what did you think of it? Leave it in the comment section below. I'm FilmFan0599, and we will see you all later. Peace.